When building Flutter games, you can use Flame to control the speed at which the text appears on the screen. You can control both the speed at which the characters appear on the screen as well as the position of where the text box appears on your screen. This tutorial will explain how to use the text box component of Flame and the time per character property of the text box component to allow you to control how their text appears to your players. The higher the number, so if it's 0.5 seconds, the characters will appear on the screen slower. And the lower the number, so it's less than 1, right? So you have to add more zeros after the decimal place to get it to be a shorter time frame. So 0.05 will be faster, which might be about the speed that you want. Because the text component is a Flame component, you can change the position of the box that the text is in quite easily. Right, get ready to pause the video because you're gonna the Flame library in, run the Flame game to try to get a completely black screen. Create a new Flutter project with Flutter create and the name of your project. In this example, I'm going to use -- platforms equals Android because I'm only building it on Android. However, this parameter is optional. You could just do Flutter create and the name of the tutorial. So I'm calling mine TextBox_tutorial. Once you create it, then change directory into the new project directory that you just created. And then I'm going to add Flame with Flutter pub add Flame. This will add the newest version of Flame into your pubspec.yaml file. And then I'm going to start up VS Code. I have the VS Code extensions for both Dart and Flutter already pre-installed. I'm going to delete most of the example code that came with Flutter create. And then I'm going to create a new class that extends the Flame game. Flame game is from the Flame system, so you will need to import it. There was an automatic import on line 1 to import the package flame/game.dart. Flutter comes with the built-in method run app, which normally runs the material app, but we're not going to use the material app for the Flame game. There's a special widget from the Flame system called game widget, and that we're going to pass the game property or the parameter and pass it the instantiated class for Flame game that we just created. So that's the entirety of the challenge right here, just these lines, and you'll get a completely black screen. I think it's a good step to test your project on a regular basis. Okay, congratulations. You're going to get ready for your next challenge. So be prepared to pause the video again after I explain the challenge, and there'll be a screen with some text to explain what the challenge is. Within the Flame game class, use a final string, call it message, assign it to the quote that you selected. Then use a Dart print statement within the onload method of the Flame game and print out the message to the console at time of game load. If you run it from the command line, the console output may be a little bit further up and there may be some additional menus. Let me show you. So actually, if you just run it for the first time, it's going to appear, but then there's this text menu under it. But if you press capital R and you do a hot restart, then you'll see it right here at the bottom of your screen. So pause the video and give it a go. Put the final string right under that Flame game definition. And final is a keyword from Dart. String is the data type from Dart. And so you can just, and those single quotes there, so in Dart you can expand a string beyond one line. You don't need to put the plus sign in like in other languages like Java. and just end it with a semicolon at the end of that third line there. So the main concept here is to use the onload method, which is a future. So we're going to use future void and then use the await and async keywords here. Make sure that you use a decorator and override the built-in onload method. Also remember to call the parent method, so super.onload at some point, and print the message to the console. Let's try it again, just make sure it all works. Okay, congratulations, let's create the text box now. At the bottom of your file, below the Flame game, the class, so it's at the very bottom, create a new class, and this will be the TextBoxComponent. So we'll just call our name for it will be my text box, and it's going to extend the TextBoxComponent. So then we have the two curly brackets, and inside of here, we're going to create a constructor. The constructor is a special function within the class that has the same name as the class, and it's also capitalized. So we'll have a new constructor, and then the constructor will accept, when you instantiate your class, a piece of text, a string, and a width. So then we'll have this colon, and after the colon, we're going to call the parent class the superclass, which is TextBoxComponent, and we're going to then pass it some parameters, text, and then TextBoxConfig. The TextBoxConfig will have the maximum width. So it's the width of the text box that we are creating. So the max width and the time per character, there are special properties of TextBoxConfig, which is from Flame. The TextBoxComponent is also from Flame. So these classes that are specific to Flame that we're learning right now. Within the TextBoxComponent, there's a method that we're going to override, and that's called drawBackground. So this will accept a canvas. The canvas and the rectangle that we are going to draw, they're actually from the Dart UI. So you could use the canvas or these techniques within Flutter without using Flame. However, this tutorial does focus on using the TextBoxComponent, which is from Flame. So this rectangle the rect is from the Dart UI. So you could look for examples of using the Dart UI, canvas, or rect if you want more information on this. The LTWH is the left top width height. So we're going to put it at 0, 0, and then the width and the height of the TextBoxComponent. The drawRect method of the canvas, that's from the Dart UI. So if you wanted to get more information on that, you could brush up on the Dart UI documentation or examples. And then we're going to use paint to paint the color. There's other parameters we could pass it, but we're just going to use this for the color. The paint, again, is from the Dart UI. I'm going to use a color from the material package of Flutter. So this colors.pink is because I've imported flutter/material.dart. I've created my class and we're done. We're now going to add it to the game. This class obviously is reusable because it does accept a parameter for the string or the message, right? So you could change it within your game. This is kind of setting up the template for you to change a bunch of different text within your game, like probably a visual novel or maybe some instructions for a shooter game at the beginning. So similar to a sprite component, we're going to instantiate it here in the onload method, which is from the Flame game. So we'll create a variable, and we're going to pass it the instantiation of the new class that we just created, which we called my text box. The Flame components do have both an anchor and a position. So we're going to add the anchor as the bottom left. Right? So It's the bottom portion of this component that we are creating because I'm going to align it with the bottom of the screen of our game. The anchor and the position are specific to Flame. To get the bottom piece of our screen, I'm going to use size 1. Size 1 is from the Flame game, and it's the size of the entire screen. Now all we have to do is add this my text box to the game. So this could be in your render method. You could change the string in the render method. You could combine it with Flame audio and have like a little typewriter click that appears. Working with Flame is just so wonderful. I really feel it's just a great way to learn how to program because you can tap into your creativity and there it is. It's beautiful. If you get stuck adjusting the size or other things, the color, you can adjust everything. Drop a note in the comments and we'll try to do another tutorial in the future if there's interest. Keep learning and keep having fun. If you have a chance, pass on some knowledge to someone else today. Have a great day.